Davis.
There was an almost surreal atmosphere when Antrim and Offaly met at Parnell Park, following the decision of the Disputes Resolution Authority on Friday night to dispense with the relegation issue for this season. Indeed, Antrim were first off the mark with a Paddy McGill point. However, disaster then struck them when goalkeeper Ryan McGarry dropped what appeared to be an innocuous long-range shot from Kevin Brady over the line. Despite this, Antrim hauled themselves back and with points from Joey Scullion and Carl Stewart brought themselves level. But Offaly, powered by their half-back line, with Ger Oakley in particular impressive, then scored 7 points without reply, with Brian Murphy among the tormentors. And at the break, Offaly led by 115 to 8 points. Antrim needed a goal to revive their fortunes, and luck appeared to be on their side when Paddy Richmond was pulled down. The resultant penalty from Carl Stewart was blocked by Paul Cleary and then cleared by the Offaly defence. Offaly piled on the pressure and Carroll had 5 unanswered points and the Midlanders were out of sight. Indeed, Carroll finished the game with a total of 12 points. Antrim then suffered further disaster when Shane McNaughton was sent off for a second bookable offence with 5 minutes remaining. And a minute later, Offaly were awarded a penalty when Derek Malloy was taken down. Much to the disgust of the Antrim defenders. And from the resultant penalty, Malloy sent the ball high and over the bar. And this meaningless game ended with Offaly comprehensive winners on a 128 to 13 point scoreline.
It's 3 weeks since we played championship and a lot of the lads have been back with their clubs and different things, but still, you know, like we're kind of a proud hurling county, no more than the other 3 counties that are in the relegation battle as well, and we were kind of determined to sort of make sure that we wouldn't, I suppose, be in the final of that, and we're just delighted to get the win today. So,
bigly disappointed in our performance in the second half. I thought we played reasonably well in the first half, we fought well, but we just seemed to die a lot in the second half again.
Down in Portlaoise, Clare and Wexford met in what may yet turn out to be another meaningless game. Wexford were the more impressive in the first half, with Harry Keogh finding the range. However, Clare, with long-range points like this one from Jonathan Clancy, kept in touch. But Wexford's Rory Jacob scored this delightful point, and he kept his side in front, 11 points to 8 at the break. Colin Bonner's side started the second half well and looked to be well on their way to victory. Rory Jacob was fouled in the square. And from the resultant penalty, Damien Fitzhenry made no mistake after 43 minutes. But Clare stirred themselves, and 2 minutes later, Clare sub Mark Flaherty outpaced the Wexford defence to put his side ahead 114 to 113. Clare remained in front only just, and when Tony Griffin's goal-bound shot was ruled out, a penalty was awarded. Man of the match, Niall Gilligan, blasted to the net to put Clare 4 points ahead. Clare extended that lead out to 8, but on the hour, Derek Ling embellished a fine personal performance with this goal. In the dying moments, Clare lost centre-half Brendan Bugler to a straight red card. And from the resultant free, Ling scored a point, but it proved to be academic, as Clare won on a 224 to 218 scoreline.
It's a relief more than anything else. It's something or some place that nobody wanted to be, and I suppose it's you know, if we look at it, we're now out of there with Wexford, and I think Antrim have to a dogfight next week for survival. So I suppose for Offaly and ourselves, it's a relief more than anything else.
224 to 218, very high score, and really hadn't the cut and thrust of championship. And you know, fair play to Clare, they took some very long range scores there in the second half with the breeze, very strong breeze, and you know, that was probably the difference in the end.
All right, now the outcome of this relegation thing is fascinating. It appears there may be a special congress in October, and that the DRA have recommended there be 13 teams in the Liam McCarthy Cup next year. In other words, Carlow, who won the Christie Ring Cup, will play, and none of the 12 will be relegated. it made yesterday's game a bit of a farce, Donald. Is that?
Well, I think that it should have been all this should have been sorted out before the teams were asked to play at all. And if it's a case that Antrim cannot be relegated, those games then should be disbanded, because either all teams can be relegated or no team can be relegated. And I thought it was a farce to insist that the games be played. And I'm not quite sure what function the DRA have in fixtures like that. I mean, it was brought up at the special congress that this was going to be the way it was. Antrim had special permission to play in Leinster for 3 years, so all these things should have been sorted out before the players were asked to play.
Yeah, and the general consensus, if there is a special congress, Pete, it's not going to benefit hurling in Wexford or Antrim if they drop down.
It's not, and if Central Council give Antrim a dispensation that they could play for 3 years in the Leinster Championship, well then they got that, and they should have known that before they made other fixtures. And as Donald said, expected to play a match, not knowing what's going to happen. It seems as if the GA hoped that somebody other than Antrim would be relegated, and then they could just ship them down.
That was the point, that Laois would go. Everyone felt Laois would go down, and that would solve the problem.
But these things should be thought out better, and they should never, those matches should never take place until such time as the decision.
Although the counties did vote for it, and that should be pointed out. The counties did vote for it.
4 o'clock in the morning, was it?
No, they voted initially for it. Congress.
But sometimes these things aren't thought through.
They weren't.
There's only as things happen that. But I think that the games this should be resolved before the players are asked.
Even a meeting on Friday night and the matches on Saturday.
Yeah, Friday night meeting until 2 a.m. One last thing, lads, before we finish. The hurling championship so far, has it lacked a bit of glitz and glamour and?
Well, I would say it probably has, Des, but I'd say a lot of teams are going out with the attitude, right, that we're not going to be beaten, and they're setting their stall out so that that they're not going to allow the other side to play, and with that then you're not going to get the free flowing, high octane end-to-end stuff that you normally get, and that's the way it is, and the name of the game is to win, and every county is striving. Then we saw Limerick, who were catastrophic against Waterford in the first game, and they're now in the semi-final, so they're not worried about the performance, they're just worried about the result.
And Pete, we had Antrim, by the way, just on Antrim, the 3-year guarantee subject to the promotion relegation issue, but Antrim and Galway playing in Leinster, did that improve things, do you think?
Well, it improved for Galway. I don't think Antrim would think that it improved.
What about Leinster?
For them? Hey, I think it did. I think it did. I think Galway had a real chance of upsetting Kilkenny when they played them in Tullamore, and they pushed Kilkenny harder than they have ever been pushed at this stage of the championship. They did add a bit of spice and a bit of oomph to the Leinster championship. The championship overall, it is lacking something. It is lacking a little bit of a heavyweight. But I think if you look back and if you say, when we saw Kilkenny in the league and we saw how dominant they were, people were nearly giving them the Lee McCarthy before they ever played for it. But they've been pushed by Dublin.